What's up, welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with a review of Ballerina, the latest action and thriller film, John Wick spin-off film starring Ana de Armas. This is the fifth film in the John Wick franchise, the first spin-off, of course. We know another spin-off is in development, starring Donnie Yen's Kane from John Wick Chapter 4. Ballerina, though, is taking place in and around the events of John Wick Chapter 3, with Ana de Armas recasting the ballerina Eve character from Chapter 3. And this is a film that went into production in late 2022, initially wrapped in early 2023, but then reports of extensive reshoots in 2024, thus the long wait for Ballerina to come to our screen. Originally directed by Len Wiseman, he of Underworld and Die Hard 4 fame, seemingly had the movie taken away from him as producer, and John Wick co-creator Chad Stahelski came in to helm those reshoots. I certainly had a lot of anticipation for the film because Ana de Armas seems like a good fit for this kind of movie. Of course, she was absolutely outstanding in her scene-stealing, one-scene role in No Time to Die a few years back, and also was pretty good on the action front in Netflix's The Gray Man. So I really had no doubt that her, and of course her stunt double and all the help with all that, would be able to be an effective action star. And, expanding the John Wick world, we already, I think we're kind of expecting this. Keanu Reeves has said that he really can't play this character too much longer, if at all. He is in his 60s already. They've already tried to spin off a little bit with that Continental TV series that didn't go too well. There's animated work coming as well. So the John Wick brand is expanding from Lionsgate, and Ana de Armas seemingly a good fit for it. Ballerina is an effective and successful John Wick spin-off because at the end of the day, the action set pieces in this film are up to the franchise's high standards. While the first half of this film is typical origin story, yada yada, nothing too outstanding, honestly pretty poor, once we get to the second half of the movie, the action really picks up in fun and creative ways that feel right at home with the highs of this franchise. Ana de Armas up to the task as an action hero in this world. Keanu Reeves is in the movie just enough, making a strong impression as the mythical Baba Yaga. The villain and detours with Norman Reedus don't really work at all. But if you just put a lot of the story to the side and focus on the actual kinetic action you're seeing on screen, it's pretty entertaining. It's giving you what you want. Of course, Ana de Armas is Eve, coming under the stewardship and training of Angela Houston's director character from Chapter 3. Jennifer Lawrence, Red Sparrow, Black Widow from Marvel. It's a similar kind of trope as like the reformed, young girl turned hyper killer type trope. Like, it's pretty familiar, and a lot of the window dressing with the cults and the gangs and the world of John Wick and the Continental and things like that, that's all here. Nothing really too great. I mean, nice to see Lance Reddick one last time in a cameo role. Ian McShane also here in a small role. The best part of the first half of the movie is definitely a club fight scene, which we got a great one in John Wick Chapter 4 already, but they're just fun, settings for really intense action. We had an awesome one on Netflix's Havoc with Tom Hardy a few weeks ago. And that one, involving like an ice bar, the classic, bisexual lighting, Ana really like fighting for the first time in the movie. It works pretty good. Everything with Norman Reedus, though, and his role with his daughter, I think all of that was incredibly poor and confusing. And, we know this movie was reshot a lot, and this movie was originally adapted from a Blacklist script that wasn't affiliated with the John Wick franchise. So this was kind of an amalgamation to, graft a spin-off of the existing script. But Norman Reedus, I think, was completely unnecessary in the movie, to be honest, and everything is kind of a bit turgid until we get to Hallstatt, Austria, the Alpine Lake Village, which is a real place. And then once we just kind of get into the fighting, I mean, there's some creative stuff here. I mean, a really, I think, fun and amusing one-on-one with plates being smashed on each other. Eve upping the stakes with using grenades of various types to kill people and survive this great extended fight inside this armory bunker setting. I think everything with the grenades was really fun. Also the blocking, of course, like this is where like it seems so clear that Stahelski was involved, helming these action scenes because they look so good. The the motion, the energy, the flow of the fighting, what we come to expect from John Wick. So we're getting these stakes continuing to be raised across this, really long extended fight at the village. And, again, we're seeing things we haven't seen before. It's feeling creative. It's working. Ana de Armas is a badass, right? And then you get something like truly transcendent for the franchise, which is Ana de Armas wielding a flamethrower and frying these fools. And it's great. And then they up the ante where like the last head henchman gets a flamethrower of his own. And we have a flamethrower on flamethrower fight. And it's tremendous. And of course, we look back on John Wick Chapter 4, a movie I love. Check my review if you missed it. You have John Wick using the Dragon's Breath fire rounds in a shotgun from a top-down perspective, the way it was filmed. Obviously, that was truly transcendent, spectacular action filmmaking from a few years ago. And this feels like kind of like the epilogue to that. And I think it was really great. As I said, the villain I thought was pretty poor from Gabriel Byrne. Just like the character itself just like doesn't really matter, And I think while Ballerina isn't as like super like stepped into like the lore and the rituals of this John Wick underworld the way like Chapter 3 and Chapter 4 particularly were, you get kind of like a lot of it still, but it's like more surface level. It's never really been that interesting to me, the greater John Wick world building. Like, it doesn't get in the way, but I don't think it's anything like super great. But yeah, I mean, I think just for what this movie is, as a, again, plot perspective, pretty straightforward, but the action standard is still high. I think it delivered and was an effective spin-off. Of course, box office wise, this is probably going to be in like the $30 million range. It's important to note that you want to compare this box office to like more traditional, like, female-led action thrillers, not actually comparing it to the John Wick box office. And that would be the case too if we get any other spin-offs too. It's hard to really treat them on their own terms, but that's what we should do. Interestingly, I think this came out more recently, but Keanu Reeves was unable to accept the Star Wars role of Master Soul on The Acolyte because he was unable to adjust his filming schedule for his role in Ballerina. I thought that was a kind of interesting bit of a Hollywood history, and as a result, of course, Lee Jung-jae played Master Soul. I think Keanu, as a wise, pensive Jedi Master, is possible. Obviously, Keanu was John Wick, pretty iconic at this point, and hopefully they didn't beat him up too much because he doesn't have too much to do in Ballerina, but still makes a strong impression. But yeah, obviously, looking forward to that Kane spinoff because I think Donnie Yen was tremendous in Chapter 4, the best character in the movie. That'll be awesome. And then John Wick Chapter 5, I mean, we know it's out there. Just, it doesn't seem like Keanu is quite as willing to go off into the sunset as he ages with a character the way, say, Tom Cruise has been with Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible. So I probably would... I would bet that they will make a John Wick Chapter 5, and that would probably be the final one. But I don't know. It doesn't seem particularly close, right? There's not a whole lot of movement in terms of anything super concrete. But yeah, Ballerina, I liked it. Ana de Armas, I think she's been a little cold on the movie front. We just haven't had anything like too big. Obviously, Gray Man, not super well liked. I thought she was still pretty good in it. Ghosted on Apple was a big mess, big flop. No Time to Die, a few years ago now, right? So I think this is a movie, of course, this was supposed to come out already, so it's been a little bit. But I think she acquitted herself well with the physicality of the role. And looking forward to seeing more from her. I think she's a great screen presence. Let me know, though, what did you think of Ballerina? Do you agree it's a successful John Wick spinoff? What did you like most about it? Let me know. And for more movie reviews, subscribe. And I'll see you next time.